Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bourke, know your rights. South Louisiana Bank, it's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough. Alford and Associates, for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Terrebonne Parish Council Wednesday, March 13th, 2024 to order. We'll have the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Clyde Hamner. Would you please rise?
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Heavenly Father, we ask that you bless all gathered here this evening and guide our thoughts, words, and actions in the best interest of the entire Terrebonne Parish community. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Alicia, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Champagne, Mr. Hamner, Mr. Babin, Ms. Chauvin, Mr. Trusclair, Mr. Pleasure, Mr. Harding, Mr. Voisin, Mr. Amity.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, ma'am. Smoke. I didn't get to you. You're going to be talking about drainage when we address the public. All those people who did public wishing to address the council forums, I'm going to hold those till we do the discussion on drainage. You have time to wait for that? All right, thanks. All right, approve the minutes of the regular council session held on February 7th, 2024. Moved by Mr. Harding, second by Mr. Babin. Members vote your machines. Eight yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Distribute the minutes of the regular council session held on February 27th, 2024 has been done. Distribute the minutes of the special session held on March 7th, 2024 has been done. Approve accounts payable lists for 3/4/2024 and 3/11/2024. Move Mr. Babin, second Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. Seven yeas, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Item 1, general business. We have all South engineers would like to update the council on engineering project status. Mr. Smith, let's get your mic turned on.
Good to go?
Yep.
Yep, so Stevie Smith with All South Engineers, 107 West Woodlawn Ranch Road in Houma. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to give a very brief update on some of our current projects for the Terrebonne Parish government. I've provided a hard copy of the slideshow to each of the council members, and I had a couple extra ones for administration, Mr. President. I don't know if y'all want a copy, Jason or anybody else, but I have a couple extra copies if you need them. But I'm going to run through a few projects. I'll try and get through this relatively quick. I know you have a busy agenda tonight. The first project that I have on the list is the concession stand and common areas at Bayou Country Sports Park. So at the sports park, we've got a softball complex and a baseball complex. So this work is going on at the baseball complex, which is a little further to the back of the sports park. This is about a $2 million project funded with state capital outlay dollars and with some local dollars as a match. The project is basically to build a concession stand in the middle of the complex, as well as some improvements in what we call the common areas, which are the areas between each of the fields. So if you've been out there lately, you would notice that a building has just been put up, and these images, you can see some of the concrete being poured. I mean, the project is basically to build out those middle areas, so now we have a completed area where you can have concession stands, restrooms, and relax in between the fields when the games are going on. The project also includes some bleachers and sunshades. It includes scores tables. It includes adjusting a couple of the fences at the back of a couple of the fields to enlarge them slightly to allow for some older age groups to play baseball. The contractor for this job is 4A Contracting. Their office is up in Schriever, just before you get to Thibodaux. As I mentioned, it's about a $2 million job, and they should be finished about the middle of May. We do owe them some rain days, so that may get pushed back into June slightly, but it'll be the May-June timeframe when this project is completed. The next project on my list is some additional parking out at Bayou Country. So this parking lot that's shown on the image is at the back by the soccer fields. If you've been back there, you know, we just finished a couple of soccer fields where we have some lighting where folks are now able to practice soccer or play soccer at night. There is some parking in front of those fields, but we do have some additional funds to do some more parking back there. This is going to be about 160 additional parking spaces and about 14 ADA spaces, which are paved spaces. You got to have those ADA spaces paved. So you can see where that will be on the visual. This project also has state capital outlay dollars involved, and I mention that only to say that the design is complete, but anytime you have state dollars, you got to send the plans up to the state so that they can review and approve them before you can go out for bid. So we're currently waiting for the state to send the parish a notice to say that we've approved the plans and we can put them out for bid. I expect that's going to happen in the next 30 days. So this project will be on the street in the April-May timeframe and will be under construction probably in the June-July timeframe. And again, this is more limestone parking. Let's be clear, most of this is limestone except for those ADA spaces that I mentioned a second ago. The next project on my list, again, is at the sports park. The parish has recently secured some funding to put artificial turf on the infields at softball and baseball complexes. Those infields are currently natural grass and or dirt, but the teams prefer the infields to be artificial turf. So our legislative delegation last year acquired an additional $1 million. If I remember right, I think that's actually on the agenda tonight to be recognized. I thought I saw that, Candace, that $1 million is an item on the agenda later. So you actually recognize that money at this meeting tonight. Again, everybody, the legislative delegation gets the money during the session. You got to work out basically a CEA with the state to move the money back and forth. That takes time. You're recognizing it tonight. When the money is recognized, then we'll begin the design work on these artificial turf infields at both of the facilities. I would expect that this project will be on the street in the middle to late summer. Again, same process. Once we finish the design, then we have to send it to the state so they will approve it to put it on the street. So this project will probably be under construction in the fall, if not late fall this year. And that's about a $1 million project. Moving away from the sports park, this is we've done a series of drainage projects on behalf of the parish along West Side Boulevard and St. Louis Canal Road. So this image shows West Side going back to St. Louis Canal Road. Over the past 6 to 8 years, the parish has tapped into primarily hazard mitigation funds to improve drainage in this area. Those two green dots were new structures done on St. Louis Canal Road probably 6 or 7 years ago. The gold area is a project that we did maybe 3 years ago where we cleaned out the ditches along West Side and then put 2 more structures across St. Louis Canal Road. Currently, we're just finishing a project, which on this image, I guess that's purple or magenta, you would call that middle section. That is between Marie and Alma. Along West Side. And again, anybody's been in that part of the world, when it's rained, that's where we've always seen most of the water is that stack up of water right at Alma and West Side. So all of this work has been meant to work back to that spot to get all the water out of there. So the project that's just finishing right now is in that 2-block area. That's about a $2.5 million project to do all that drainage work in a very small area. The reason that's so expensive is because you got to pull out all the small, insufficient, inefficient drain pipe, which, you know, in that area they had some 24s and 36s along West Side because West Side was built 40, 50 years ago now, it's forever that it was built. We replaced that with 60 and 48-inch pipe. So you're taking a 36-inch pipe, which might be up my hip, and 60-inch pipe is about at my shoulders, and replacing it along that run. And again, all three of those projects now are going to work in conjunction to hopefully prevent that buildup of water that we've traditionally seen right at West Side, Alma, and Marie. This project is basically complete. The contractor was finishing up in the last 30 days, touching up out there. And again, this money, that project had been funded primarily with state dollars. That one happened to be capital outlay. The previous ones were hazard mitigation money. The next project on my list would be the next phase of West Side. So once we finish this project, the next phase would be to continue that work going towards Canada's up West Side. So if you go from Alma Street towards Canada's, on both sides of the roadway, there's some planned improvements there, about $1.2 million more money or additional funds to do that work. We've completed an engineering and design on that. We're trying to get some more state capital outlay funding to fund it. We had money last year to fund this, but when we bid the phase I just went over, it came in about $800,000 over the budget, because if you remember a couple of years ago, COVID, war in Ukraine, everything went through the roof. So we literally took the money that was budgeted for this phase and moved it into the prior phase so we get that phase done, because they ain't no use doing this phase if the middle piece isn't done, right? Water's going to flow downhill. So now we have to get some more money for this phase from our legislative delegation this year. The next one on my list is a roundabout at Hollywood and Valhalla. So, of course, this is literally at the intersection of Hollywood and Valhalla. They currently have a stoplight there. The legislative delegation, in particular Representative Rang, secured roughly $2 million in capital outlay last year for this project. So we are in design right now. We're going to submit a preliminary design submittal on April 1st. Again, it's pretty self-evident what this is. You replace the intersection with a roundabout. This is the schematic from our preliminary design. You have Hollywood on one side coming in as a boulevard. You have Valhalla coming in as basically a two-lane road from the left and the right, and then Hollywood proceeds to the other end as a boulevard. Again, pretty standard stuff. Going to replace it with a roundabout. It's going to improve safety, going to improve traffic flow there. Roughly a $2 million project. Same schedule as the other ones. Our design is underway. We'll probably finish the design in June timeframe, get state approval, put it on the street in June, July timeframe. And again, like the others, capital outlay primarily, but a local match is required for all those capital outlay projects. Moving on to Williams Avenue. This is a bike path along Williams Avenue going from basically the American Legion building on Williams, past Legion Park School, past the gym, past National Guard, and all the way to St. Gregory. And then the last thing is the park, which I believe is Glen Pope Park. This is a DOTD grant that the parish applied for a couple years ago and was awarded about $300,000. Again, with this one, we have completed preliminary design, sent it to the state. The state's come back with some comments, which we have incorporated into the plans. We expect to submit a final design to the state within the next 30 days. The kicker with this one is the projects are not funded as soon as you finish design. When you finish design, then you get into a list over there at DOTD for these small projects like this, and then they fund them one at a time. Again, with that being said, I'm saying that that's going to go to bid in the fall, just because some other stuff is in front of us in the funding stream. Okay, I mean, you were awarded the grant, you're in the queue. The fact is they just do some other stuff. The other ones that are ahead of you get funded before they do yours. But that's going to be a pretty good project along there. If anybody's been there, there's some old sidewalks right in front of just before you get to Legion Park School, and then there's nothing going up to the gym and across to St. Gregory. There's not really a good sidewalk the whole way, so that's really going to be a pretty good improvement in that part of the world. And then the last one on my list is Geraldine Road Pump Station. And I just put this graphic up to kind of give you a visual. So Geraldine Road Pump Station is at the bottom left of this visual, that red dot. This is the Chacahula Basin. The Fouche Parish has 3 pumps that pump into this basin. Those are the orange dots at the top. And then the last one is actually an Assumption Parish pump station. Those pump stations pump about 1,000 cubic feet per second into the basin when they're running. Okay, those 2 big yellow lines I put in there are some pretty significant drainage canals, and of course, water flows towards the Gulf, right, which is us. The blue dots, the Terrebonne Parish has right at 23 pump stations that pump into this basin, okay? Because we've done that over the years, and we've done pump stations to help individual areas, but they all pump into this basin. The light green dots actually, landowner pump stations. So at the back of the cane fields, a landowner, cane farmer's got a pump back there, so he got an 8-inch or something. He's not big ones, but they pump it. So those pump into the basin. That's about, by my calculation, about 3,500 cubic feet per second. There's the capacity to pump into the basin when we have rainfall. So the 3 dots on the bottom are Hanson, Elliott Jones, and then Geraldine. Each of those are planned to have about 1,000 CFS. Of course, 2 of them are already built, Elliott Jones and Hanson, and then the third one is Geraldine. That's the one all the way to the left. So again, the whole plan is you got all this water being into the basin, you got a way to evacuate it out. This pump station, we are not doing design work yet. The parish has a grant for it, but the grant requires a local match. And so the parish has been trying to secure the local match for this pump station, which I believe, and I would defer to Jason and Candace, I believe that's in one of those CDBG plans, and I see several people nodding, so apparently I'm right about that. So the local match is in there. It's got to be approved. Of course, it's not available yet because I believe that the parish has just, we've just recently submitted that plan to the state, so it's got to be approved. But once that's approved, we'll begin design work on this project, and that'll take some time to plan, design, and construct. That's a fairly large project, so it'll take a while to put that together. Okay? And I think that's it. And Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you or anybody might have.
All right. Anybody questions? Mr. Harding.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
We're just gonna walk a few things over because I know you gave a report, and let's start off with the West Side Boulevard thing. I think I added up to about $6 million. All of that is about $6 million, right? And when we explaining that, because really I'm happy for it because in the area like around Morrison and Wright Street and Prince Collinson Street, they had that. This is the work that they've been doing actually alleviated some of the flooding that we had in that area. The question would be is the fact that we have these pumps and these larger water pipes, right? Drainage pipes. Where does this water go?
So at West Side Alma, all that drainage leads into the 11B system, which it basically goes back to what we call Lake Houma, St. Louis Canal and Lake Houma, and then eventually goes out to the 6-foot ditch pump station by Senac. The pump station right by Senac Towing's offices now off of 182.
182, yeah, I know that.
It primarily goes there, but that system, it can go to 2 different pump stations.
From there?
I'm sorry?
Goes to the intercoastal from there.
That pump station discharges into the intercoastal, yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, that's one thing that I appreciate that part. In reference to the Bayou Sports Park, and the concession stand is about $2 million, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I know we spent about $800,000 for a concession stand back in the back where the soccer is, and we put in limestone out there. Is it possible for us to go further? Because, eventually we're going to need some more than limestone back there. I think that's another cost. Do we have enough funding available where we can just go ahead and do it? Because I can't see it going into the future, and we still have that out there that's like that. Maybe not you, because I know the work that you do. I'm only speaking this so we can probably enhance what's actually being done out there. I would, if we're going to spend money, we just spend the money where we need to spend it. So we're going to have 2 concession stands back in that area. We do have the money that was allocated, like you said, for the lighting back there. The other thing, when you went to the pumps, our pumps that we have going into Hanson, Elliott, and Geraldine, the question that I had there is how much control we have over those private pumps back there, because I had an issue back around Aldon. So when Aldon was actually built, there was some circumstances with a particular individual that had his own pump, and when he actually had control of that particular area, that means we as a parish had to go further toward, I think, 90 way to actually funnel that water past him, because he didn't want to have any problems with his sugarcane farming.
Right.
So I guess there might be a question they have to ask.
Yeah, I would say, Mr. Hardy, I'm not familiar with any control you have over this, but I would defer to some other folks maybe in this room.
Yeah, I'm only just using this format to see where we can go forward, because sometimes we don't always meet. It takes us every 2 weeks to come to the council meeting. And so that's basically it, just to put the information out there. I see Mr. David Rom is out there, and so these guys, the conversation I'm giving here is going forward within consolidated government. And nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. So that our members know, we do have an item later that we're going to be talking with the Drainage Department about drainage. Mr. Wazan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Great presentation. Really appreciate that. And wanted to thank you for good job done on West Side Boulevard on the area that was completed.
Good.
It's doing what it was meant to do. My question would be, for the public's sake, where are we in reference to the additional financing we're going to need for the third phase of this project? If someone from the administration has any idea on where we at on getting that funding?
Ms. Malden.
I believe that has been put in capital outlay requests. The current phase is by FEMA. There may be some funding that's left over from that, but maybe not. But we have tried to go to capital outlay for that third phase.
So that's in process
Yes,
as
sir.
we speak. Okay, thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very much. Thank you again, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wazan. Mr. Babin.
Yeah, just one quick question. Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, the Chacahua Swamp, you talked about Lafourche pumping in, private pumps pumping in, Assumption had one. The input, our capacity to pump out is equal to what's coming in there, or close to equal to what's
It's
coming in
roughly
there.
that,
So
yeah.
we can maintain that level with our pumps. And once the Geraldine pump may get online in 4 or 5 years, we actually have excess capabilities.
The numbers that I came up with is about 3,400 CFS going in there from all those pumps. And with Geraldine, that'll be about 3,000 CFS that you could pump out.
That was the overall design for
Right,
this.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's what I understand.
Good, sounds good. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. With that, Mr. Steve, we have no more questions. Again, I thank you and your firm for coming, give us these updates. It's useful to all of us to know what's going on in the parish. It's also useful to the public so that they can see where their dollars are being spent and have some idea of whether or not they're going to flood again next time. So we appreciate the work that you guys do and look forward to the future and future updates.
Thank you.
Item 2, public wishing to address the council. I don't see Mr. Tommy Jenkins. So Mr. Tommy Jenkins decided not to come. Mr. Floyd Bergeron, so let me just read it. Mr. Tommy Jenkins, a Houma resident, wishes to address the council regarding CDBG funding and program guidelines with possible violations. He couldn't make it, I guess. Mr. Floyd Bergeron, item B, wishes to address the council regarding government and council. He called me earlier today and said he was not going to be able to be here. Item C is as per speaker cards in accordance with Section 2-07E of the Terrebonne Parish Home Rule Charter. The public will be heard and can speak for 3 minutes on any matter related to parish government without discussion or questions and answers on non-agenda items. And Ms. Joyce Williams, if you could please come up to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record, and then tell us what you got about lights.
My name is Joyce Williams, and I have 2 residents, 435 Odie.
Hang on, I cut you off. All right, you're back on.
Okay, I gotta go back.
We heard you.
Okay.
You can continue.
I'm here complaining about school guard at Honduras Elementary School and South Terrebonne High School.
Okay.
I have problems with everyone that runs through there doing 45, 50, 60 miles an hour. I have to hold the flag up, stop them, let them know that the speed limit is 25. Y'all know South Terrebonne is here. You know LaCash is here. I asked Energy, why is the light not working coming from Bergs? The light been down since Ida. And Energy came up and put the pole up. They put the bracket up. But I have no meter. And by them having the sign saying when light flashing, do 25. Okay. They asked me why the light not flashing. I said, I'm not a state employee. I'm the sheriff department employee. So I said, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a light on a board running down the street? They said, no. I said, well, that's to let you know. Some of y'all done went to South Terrebonne. Some of your kids done went to South Terrebonne. You know that it's there. Why come through there doing 45? I get so frustrated because the flashing sign need to be taken down and need to put a sign up there saying school zone 25. Take away the lights. And that's for Honduras and South Terrebonne. And I have called the state, I've called the maintenance and school board. Nobody can do nothing. I've been calling since August. And it's frustrating me.
All right. So the light that you're talking about, that's a street light or the flashing
school
lights?
They
Okay.
need to take that down. It don't work.
They're not working. Okay. So again, those are not in our jurisdiction, but there are some things that we can do. So we're going to take that and see what we can do to help you.
All right.
Thank you for coming and bringing it to our attention. That's our only speaker card on this. Like I was saying earlier, addressing one of the constituents out there. I have several other speaker cards that want to talk about drainage. I'm gonna hold those until we get to the item 7 discussion on drainage. So,
Motion to go to 6:30.
so I have a motion to go to 6:30 public hearings, a second by Mr. Carl Harding. The motion was by Mr. Brian Pleasure. Members vote your machines. All right, we have 8 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Item A, an ordinance to amend section 2-109C of the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances to increase administration's contracting and purchasing threshold from $30,000 to $60,000. Call for public once, second call public, third and final call for public. I have a motion to close by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. Eight yeas, 0 nays. Public hearing's closed. Motion to adopt, Mr. Babin. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. Six yeas, 2 nays. Motion carries. Item B, an ordinance to adopt and enact a new section 2-452 Hancock Whitney Bank Building and Parking in Article 14 of Chapter 2 of the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances to rename Article 14 to expand the article to include the Hancock Whitney Bank Building and to renumber and amend the remaining sections in said article to operate the available commercial lease space. First call for public. Second call for public. Third and final call for public comment. Motion to close, Mr. Babin. Second by Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. 7 yeas. Motion is adopted. Item C, an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement on behalf of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government between TPCG and John Kennedy in his official capacity as United States Senator to lease space in the TPCG-owned building at 7910 Main Street, Houma, Louisiana, 70360. First call for public comment. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Harding. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machine. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Harding. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. Item D, an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement on behalf of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government between TPCG and Steve Scalise in his official capacity as United States Congressman to lease space in the TPCG-owned building at 7910 Main Street, Houma, Louisiana, 70360. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Who was that? Mr. Champagne makes a motion, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. That went quick, but I guess it was 8. We have a motion to adopt by Mr. Harding. Second by Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machines. It was done in a flash. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. Item E, an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement on behalf of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government between TPCG, Mike Fazy, in his official capacity as Louisiana State Senator to lease space in the TPCG-owned building at 7910 Main Street, Houma, Louisiana, 70360. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to adopt by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Champagne or Hamner. Motion to close. Members, vote your machine. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Babin, second, Mr. Hamner. Members, vote your machines. 7 yeas, motion is adopted. Item F, an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement on behalf of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government between TPCG and TITA to lease space in the TPCG-owned building at 7910 Main Street, Houma, Louisiana. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. We have a motion to close by Ms. Chauvin, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays. We have a motion to adopt by Ms. Chauvin, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. Item G, an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement on behalf of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government between TPCG and Fletcher Technical Community College to lease space in the TPCG-owned building at 7910 Main Street, Houma, Louisiana, 70360. I have first call for public, second call public, third and final call for public. Motion to close, Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machine. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Hamner. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. Item H, an ordinance to amend the 2024 adopted operating budget and 5-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Bayou Country Sports Park, $1 million. Houma Fire Department, $200. Houma Police Department opioid abatement, $354,244. First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. Motion to close, Ms. Chauvin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays. We have a motion to adopt Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. Motion's adopted. Mr. Babin?
Just as a reminder, I like to do, and Mr. Smith mentioned this earlier, this $1 million came from the state. It's not Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government doing it. This, for those people out there listening, this came from state capital outlay. Thank you.
We went to that. We did that. That was the lady that spoke. Yeah. All right, item 3, committee reports. A, Budget and Finance Committee, Mr. Brian Pledger.
I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee meeting held on March 11th, 2024, and I have 2 public hearings. One, introduction of an ordinance declaring 4 vehicles from the Houma Police Department as surplus and authorizing said items to be disposed of by any legal approved methods, and calling a public hearing on March 27th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Item number 2, introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2024 adopted operating budget and 5-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Item number 1, Solid Waste Department, $450,000. Item number 2, Hollywood Road Roundabout, $1,825,000. Number 3, American Rescue Plan, $920,000. Number 4, Houma Police Department, Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, $17,578, and calling a public hearing on March 27, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
We have a motion by Mr. Pledger, a second by Mr. Babin. Members vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Item B, Public Services Committee, Mr. Babin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Public Service Committee meeting held on March 11th, 2024, and I have 3 public hearings. Number 1, introduce an ordinance to authorize the acquisition of property, sites, and/or servitudes required for the Country Estates Bridge Replacement Project, LADOTD project number H013199. Authorize the parish president to execute any and all documents necessary to acquire sites, property, and/or servitudes for the said purposes. To authorize the parish legal staff to commence expropriation proceedings in the event the sites, property, and/or servitudes cannot be obtained conventionally. To declare that the taking, if required, is necessary and useful for the benefit of the public, and to provide for other matters relative thereto, and call a public hearing on said matter Wednesday, March 27th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Second, introduce an ordinance to authorize the relocation of a Terrebonne Parish precinct polling location for the election of July 17th through 19th, 2024, and all subsequent elections, and call a public hearing on Wednesday, March 27th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. And finally, number 3, introduction of an ordinance to authorize the parish president or administration to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the state of Louisiana Office of Land to execute necessary documents for the use of certain water bottoms, and call a public hearing on Wednesday, March 27, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Champagne. Members vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Item C, Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee, Mr. Clyde Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
There you go.
All right, I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee held on March 11th, 2024, and I have 2 public hearings. Introduction of an ordinance to restructure Chapter 12 of the Terrebonne Parish Code by adopting sections 12 through 75 through sections 1279 to construct borough pits and call a public hearing on Wednesday, March 27, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. The second is the introduction of an ordinance to amend ordinance number 6429, which provides for the adoption and use of an official seal for the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, March 27, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hamner, a second.
That was pulled.
What?
That was pulled.
What was pulled?
The last one, the
The
last
seal.
ordinance he just read, the seal.
The seal. We
That was
didn't.
pulled.
That was pulled?
Trosclair Monday night.
So let the minutes correct that, stating that it was pulled by its author. All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Hamner, second by Mr. Pledger. Members vote your machines. Eight yeas, 0 nays. Item 4A, streetlights, light installation removals and/or activations. There were no streetlights submitted as of the agenda deadline, so no action is needed on that. Item 5, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. A, Downtown Development Corporation, 4 expired terms, each representing the following entities: 1 representing the Parish Council, 1 representing the Historical Society, 1 representing Downtown Merchants, and 1 representing Arts and Humanities. Ms. Eugenia Ardoin, representing the Arts and Humanities, submits application for consideration. We have a motion by Mr. Harding to open, close, and appoint Ms. Ardoin and hold the others. Second by Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. We have 8 yeas, 0 nays. And I keep forgetting to do this, guys, so forgive me, but I wanted to state that in our audience tonight, we have our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Bubba Orgeron, with us. Thank you, sir, for being in the meeting. Item B, Terrebonne Parish Tree Board, 1 expired term and 1 vacancy due to a resignation. Ms. Connie Berg submits application and resume for consideration. So we have a motion by Mr. Babin to open, close, and appoint Ms. Berg, second by Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. Eight yeas, 0 nays. We do have Ms. Connie. You want to say anything? Thank y'all. You're welcome. Mr. Pledger?
Ms. Connie, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for all that you do. I really do. Absolutely.
It's a joy. I enjoy it.
Absolutely.
How they say we need more like that. All right, item C, Fire Protection District Number 8 Board, 2 expired terms. Mr. Richard Price expresses his interest in being reappointed. We have a motion by Mr. Harding to open, close, and appoint Mr. Price and hold the second over, and the second by Mr. Pledger. Members vote your machines. Seven yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Item D, Fire Protection District Number 10 Board, 1 expired term. Ms. Regina Pierron expresses her interest in being reappointed. So we have a motion to open, close, and appoint Ms. Pierron by Mr. Pledger, second by Mr. Babin. Members vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. We're going to slap Mr. Harding's wrist because he made the motion and didn't vote on that last one. Yes, the machine didn't work right. Absolutely. Item 6, monthly engineering reports. As per anyone?
As per, I'm sorry.
All right, so as per Mr. Pledger, second Mr. Babin, members vote your machines. We got a lot of paperwork up here. I guess everybody's busy trying to get everything shuffled. Item 7, councilman members request discussion of A, Councilman Clayton Wazan Jr., discussion and possible action as it relates to sewage and drainage issues. Mr. Clayton Wazan. And we do have some speaker cards on that, so at some point we need to let these guys come up and address us as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I put this on the agenda for all of our benefit and, of course, the benefit of the public. To be able to hear firsthand from some of these department heads or administration and maybe some of these council members as to what's been done, what's being done, and what the future looks like. Of course, y'all sharing y'all experiences, the public with us, can only help us. Just keep in mind, brand new administration, some brand new council members. We kind of inherited some of these issues, all of us. So try to be kind, but we do understand your frustrations. Please understand that. We're equally as frustrated with some of these issues. So I welcome everybody to come up and, give us some information.
All right, so what I'll do, I'll take the speakers first, Mr. Wazan. We'll start with Miss Connie Berg. Yes, ma'am. You're on the top of the list. Please state your name and address for the record, please. And we'll get your mic turned on as soon as you see the green light. There you go.
All right, Connie Berg, 5953 Alma Street, Houma, Louisiana. My concern is I clean ditches. And for future reference, I'm thinking that some of our larger ditches that are hard to clean for the average person, that they're open ditches and they're deep and they need to be dug or the grass taken out of. I was wondering if at some point our drainage department could take on the task of maybe concreting these open ditches. I know in Lafayette they call them coulées, but it's that way the ditch is dug to the right depth, it stays at the right depth, it's cemented at the bottom and the sides. We don't have to cut the grass in it anymore. Hopefully, if it's got trash in it, we can get down there and clean it out, and we won't sink up to our knees in mud. So that's just my suggestion for the future, for future drainage ditches, so that way we don't have to worry about, come dig my ditch, on a regular basis, because we all know how fast grass grows around here. So that's my suggestion. That's it. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Miss Connie. Next, I have Mr. Franz Schreiner. Sir, if you'd please come up, state your name and address for the record. And then
Franz Schreiner, 203 South Eagle Place, Houma, Louisiana. I've lived here since 1969 and been up and down the St. Louis Canal a million times. We got a problem going on. I think it's that B1 flood project waterway that goes by the Masonic Lodge on Bayou Gardens. Okay, that feeds into, or it's supposed to intersect St. Louis Canal. Problem is right at the intersection where it's supposed to be 8 feet deep. Parish paid to have it dredged years back. The bayou is now 18 inches deep. And if you have 8 foot, all the other canals attached there are supposed to be 8 foot deep. You got 8 foot of water hit 18 inches. It's not going anywhere, but it's going to spread out. It will flood. I've been trying to get this taken care of for a couple of years now, and being that for 30 years I was a flood adjuster, I know what water does, and everybody has to pay the new flood rates. Thing is, FEMA or the flood NFIP is strapped for money, so they're going to be looking for money anywhere they can find it. And one of the ways where they're going to find it at every report has to have a statement addressing subrogation. That means going against somebody, if it's not an act of God, going against somebody who is at fault. Federal government will be going after people for that. Now, if that, where I'm talking about, y'all have known about it. I talked to your drainage department for the last 2 years or so. Nothing's been. What's going to happen is if that
hang on, Mr. Bergeron. We have a motion to extend, Mr. Harding, second, Mr. Babin. Members, vote your machines. Okay.
Okay, what that does is it leaves the parish wide open for subrogation. If that thing does flood, because now it's 18 inches deep right there, parish knew about it. It's a defect, should have been taken care of. The federal government will come looking for money. And I just want to let y'all know that it's not a big thing like some of these folks got water up on their streets and stuff, which is serious and all. But this could cost the parish a lot of money. You know, you get a couple hundred houses flood and the federal government comes to you, it's something I don't want to have to pay, you know, with Terrebonne Parish taxes. And that's all I got.
All right, Mr. Schreiner, I thank you. I know the area that you're talking about, and I was making some notes so that we can address it whenever we're talking to drainage in just a few minutes. Thank you for coming out. My next speaker card is Mr. Chad Bergeron. Sir, if you would please come and state your name and address for the record, and know that we give you 3 minutes. If that time runs out, the council members may give you a minute more.
All righty. My name is Chad Bergeron. I live at 5110 E Bayou Side Drive. I wish I could tell you I was born and raised in Chauvin. I was not. I was born and raised in Houma, moved to Chauvin about 3 or 4 years ago. Fell in love with the women and with the community as a whole. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Be real.
I've been having.
Hang on just a second. I forgot to restart a timer. All right. I just need to restart the timer.
I've been having an issue with flooding on my property. I actually walked out on foot and found that 54 homes and businesses all flood into my yard during the time of rain. I measured about 14 inches of water, including going into the roadway, which destroyed numerous generators, bicycles, kids' toys, stuff like that under my home. It's going to cost me a severe amount of money to be able to get those back up and running. I understand this is not as big of a project as what is going on around the rest of the town, but I'd like to know what can be done moving forward to fix this issue. And if it's something that the government cannot assist me with, at least tell me that so I can make a decision moving forward on how I have to fix this issue.
All right. So, Mr. Bergeron, we have drainage here. Notice these guys that are going to be speaking, and if you can catch them, and then you also have your council member here that'll be able to give you some assistance as well, and we'll see what's causing the problem. And we'll be real with you, just like you are with us.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mr. Bergeron. Mr. Parish President.
What was the address again?
It's 5110 E Bayou Side Drive, Chad Bergeron. That's all, Mr. President. Ms. Chauvin?
Yeah. Parish President, we have been conversing back and forth. I met with David Rome and Joey Seahan and Mrs. Scotty Dryden yesterday when seen that we had drainage on a list, because I was going to bring to them some of the issues that we have in Chauvin, and I think we looked at Woodlawn, and then I asked Joey, Mrs. Seahan, quite a few questions on Acadian and stuff like that. They are looking at this, as far as I know. We pulled up maps. Well, not we, because I get a little disconjointed with the whole pro of Google Earth, but Mr. David Rome was very up to par and pulled it up. And we started looking at things on there to see what can be done and where the water's coming from. So I think that the part was that they were gonna go back out there and have a conversation with Mr. Bergeron and start to look and see what could be done, if anything could be done on that part, or if Mr. Bergeron would have to do that because the way the ditch is and what was done before. So that is being looked at. Mr. Rum was made aware of it. I've been sending him the same photos that Mr. Bergeron has been sending me. So I've been conversing back and forth with them, and I know that Mr. Rum and him are literally looking through this thing to try and figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Our next speaker is Mr. Kenneth Como, better known as Smoke. We went to school together. Please state your name and address for the record.
Kenneth Como, Jr.
Hang on just a second. All right, go ahead.
Kenneth Como Jr., 719 Broadmoor Avenue, native and lifelong resident of Terrebonne Parish. I'm here to, like Ms. Berg, to speak about the ditches. I could go on all night about a lot of other things, but I don't think y'all want to stay that long. In reference to Ms. Berg's comment about the cemented ditches along Payne Street, y'all can find one what she's talking about.
Right.
You go out there. On the 700 block of Broadmoor, which is between Alma and G, there are a couple of servitudes. The one that's between Collins and Broadmoor has definitely been a disaster for years. The one between Broadmoor and Douglas has been well kept up, in fact, sometimes over kept up because the neighbors there keep their yards manicured behind the fences, but the parish sprays weed killer on that for them. How lovely. Behind me, some 20 years ago or so ago, I was approached to have about 10 feet of my backyard taken to extend the servitude. I gladly went along with that project, no problem. Problem is the amount of money that needed to be spent to move fences, sheds, houses, cut trees down, all of that stuff. I think a culvert at least could be put in there. I believe it was during Isidore. I went out there myself to try to clear the drain where it was blocked at G Street. I wanted to be stopped by a parish supervisor to tell me to get out of there because I'm going to get hurt and sue the parish. So, I mean, it's been an ongoing problem for years. There's a lot of trees overgrowth. In fact, one of them, with the north winds that we face from Ida, actually blew one of the big trees from the servitude that's probably 40 or 50 years old onto my house. And it was my expense to remove it. So this needs to be looked at. Maybe gentlemen, ladies, if y'all can get out there with Mr. Wazan, my councilman, get a look at what's going on. This is probably the worst one in the neighborhood. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Como. So that concludes our speakers from the public. Drainage, who's coming? Mr. Rome, Joy, who we got? Tammy, hit his mic again.
Good evening. Let me begin by addressing some of the ones that we have already.
David, just tell us who you are real quick. For the
I'm
record.
sorry, I'm David Rome. I'm the Public Works Director for Terrebonne Parish. Office is 206 Government Street in Gray, Louisiana. Let me begin first by addressing Ms. Berg's comments about the subsurface and cement line ditches. She must be listening on our conversations because Parish President Bergeron and I have had conversations about that very topic, and we are identifying which of these problem ditches, and we're going to get to some of those problem ditches in a little bit, but we're going to get to about identifying these ditches and what we can do to subsurface them or cement line them, because to make that more efficient and cut down on the high maintenance costs. Mr. Schreiner had spoken about, I believe it's the CCC ditch. I would like to have further information and speak with you and Joey Sehan after the meeting if that's possible. For Mr. Bergeron, Ms. Connie Berg and I met yesterday. We looked at it. We're going to continue to looking at what that issue is.
Ms. Chauvin.
I'm sorry, Ms. Chauvin. I am so sorry.
I wouldn't put it past Connie to sneak in a meeting, though.
You were on my mind, Ms. Berg. Ms. Chauvin and I had a meeting yesterday. It was very productive. We covered a litany of issues in her district, and I invite each and every one of you to come and sit down and let's go over those issues. I've had meetings with several of you so far, and I think we have at least got a game plan together on how we can improve those issues in your districts. Mr. Como, kind of same thing. The subsurface and cement line ditch would be to solve the problems in Broadmoor. I had and I apologize that it's not that great, but I had a little handout that was given, and Mr. Hamner and I had conversations. Mr. Voisin, Ms. Chauvin, and I'm sure several of others, Mr. Babin, about a problem that we have is right-of-way encroachment. And right-of-way encroachment is when there is no access to a ditch for us to cut it, to clean it, without going on private property. And in some cases, and these are just 3 examples of hundreds throughout our parish, where we have right-of-way encroachment of unmovable structures, unpermitted structures, and I'll work with Mr. Pulaski to get these taken care of. However, these are the root of most of our headaches. If you look at the first page, and the yellow line is just a representation of where the servitudes lie, and you can see fences, sheds, swimming pools, all built within the parish servitude. On the second page, this is a ditch that we had thought that we had found a solution to. This is off of, I believe this is in Ms. Chauvin's district, between Evelyn and Leslie Street. We had paid good money to try putting an epoxy sealant on it in order to give us more time before we have to go back and maintain it. It lasted about 2 or 3 years. I think we got our money's worth out of it, but it's too expensive for us to do it again. If we're going to do it, we need to look at the subsurface in it or cement line in it. There is no access whatsoever to this ditch. The only way we can maintain it is to go through people's yards, and as Ms. Chauvin found out the hard way, they're not always willing to allow us to go on their property. The last page is another ditch. Again, this was in District 3. I kind of focused on that since Mr. Voisin had put this on the agenda. This is a ditch where the servitude is not only encroached upon, it's very small, 15 feet. It doesn't give us very much room to put an excavator or anything like that in there. So the hard decisions is, what do we do about the encroachment? What do we do about insufficient servitudes? As a government, it's our responsibility to make sure these things are taken care of and upkept. But we need the resources and the support in order to resolve these issues. And I'll take any questions.
Mr. Babin?
Yeah, David, I know it might be a little bit difficult to give, but because ditches are all different heights, depths, I should say, and widths. Do you have any kind of idea how much the cementing of a ditch costs per foot? I mean, is there some monetary amount that you can apply to that? I mean, we probably, how many miles of ditches do we have in Terrebonne Parish?
Well, let's take in the biggest consideration is accessing these ditches.
Right.
Right? So whenever you have an access issue, this has to be trucked in by hand. Most of this work has to be done by manual labor. It isn't like you can put a piece of equipment in there and do it as fast and efficient as possible. So the price is exponential. Mm-hmm. When we found the epoxy spray stuff, we were very excited about it, and we really thought that we would have good outcomes on it, and it was. I think we got our money back. Our investment was around $40,000. Lasted about 2-3 years before we started having problems again. But to continuously spend $40,000 every few years, it would be more in our best interest to either subsurface it or concrete line it.
But wait, when you talk about $40,000, that's $40,000 for that one little section that you did.
Yes, sir.
And we may have 500 of those.
Exactly.
And that's the problem. And I'm being a little bit facetious here, only trying to get, I know there's no number that we can put on it.
Right.
Our problem is, and I hate even saying this, we probably have 20,000 servitude violations in this parish over the years, and that's a conservative estimate. Okay?
I would agree with that.
Some of them are much more egregious than others, okay, where you can't get equipment in some of them, and then it makes Terrebonne Parish look bad. I mean, we want to try and solve these problems. Some of them we can't. I'm assuming, and I know this would be a legal question, and we don't have to get into this tonight, but what steps can we take as a parish? What authority do we have when something is on a servitude that it is endangering the citizens of this parish to go in and have it removed? I know a fence, you can take them down, and then you usually try to put it up, but it would be at the expense of the landowner, correct?
Typically, yes, sir. I mean, right now, the only recourse that we have in these situations is me to write a strongly worded letter asking them nicely to remove their stuff out of our right-of-way.
Well, again, and I only bring this up, this is, as we talk about conversations, this needs to be part of our conversations in weeks and months to come on how we can address this. It's not going to get any better. So it's the elephant in the room, and we need to address it. Are we going to solve all of them? Probably not, but the ones that are the worst, we need to see what we can do, because some of these homes are really being affected by this. And I mean, we have them, every one of us has this in our districts.
Yes, sir.
So it's not isolated to just District 7.
Yes, sir.
So I think we as a government, as a council administration, we need to address not only the repair of, but the legal ways that we can get in there in a much more expeditious manner.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, David.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. I see our parish attorney, Ms. Michelle Neal, has her light on, so I will let her go ahead of some of the other guys real quick. Ms. Neal?
Thank you, sir. So yes, to answer your question, there is legal recourse to bring against some of these homeowners who are encroaching into the right-of-way that the parish owns. And we don't have to get into it tonight, and I'm not going to bore you with the details. It's been done in the past through injunction and actually through, some of them full-blown trials. But yes, there is an option for that.
Good.
And Mr. Pulaski?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think one of the easiest ways to address this is get a permit first. Part of the permit process is we do a site plan review where we check to see if there are any servitudes that would fall into what's being proposed, and if there is an encroachment. I just want people to know we don't deny it right then and there. I mean, we'll find out who that servitude belongs to, and the applicant can contact whoever that party is and see possibly if they could get a letter of no objection. Sometimes there are ways to build or have things that can be placed in servitudes, and the servitude can still operate just fine. But certainly get a permit is the best way to address this.
Thank you, Mr. Pulaski. Ms. Chauvin?
Okay, and you're right. We did come across one person that didn't want to move movable objects. And so my comment is that I know it's taking you time, effort, and money to only be pulled back and have to take the excavator out of the way. And so we're losing time and money on that part. If it's movable and they do not move it, what kind of time frame are we talking as far as having to move it? Because this is one of the things. If he brings an excavator out there, your guys are already out there, and this person decides that they're not moving the stuff, where does the time frame lie on that part of it? And then I'll go back to some other things. But if Michelle can answer that part of it, I would be.
Yes, ma'am. So it depends on the situation. So if you have an instance of a grave danger, something that is creating an immediate danger for the residents in the surrounding area, that can be done in a pretty quick manner. There's law in the state in the statutory law, and also some of our ordinances that require us to put notice and get those things done within a couple of days. But that's going to require us to have a finding that it's actually causing some type of a grave and immediate danger. If you're enforcing it under your nuisance abatement code, if it's a movable object or like a junk vehicle, that's going to take sending them out a notice, waiting for them to respond, maybe sending out a violation, and then taking the action to take it out of the servitude. We also have the option under, I think, Mr. Pulaski's department, that he can send a notice of violation that it's within our servitude and blocking the drainage. There's some instances that it may be violation of ordinances for blocking drainages, and, a notice would have to go out to have them move it. So there's different options, and all of them are different timeframes.
Okay, so we're wondering why we have drainage problems. This is it. This is what I'm looking at. We have drainage problems because we have people that don't move out of the way to get the drainage dealt with. That's a problem for me when I'm looking at it. I know the one that you went to at that point in time, I am going there to speak with him about the removal of those things so we can get that ditch done. The other part is that, as she's going through the protocol of it, we're wasting time and we're wasting money of what this causes. And so maybe we can get something to where we can look at all of the servitudes that we have that are in violation and start dealing with them in that manner to get them either removed so that Mr. Rome and them can do their job. And maybe we would have less drainage problems if they can get to these things. And I'm looking at the Leslie Street one, and that's huge. That's huge. You have a lot in your way to be able to get to that. And I'm getting phone calls about it, because they want it cleaned. So we do have a problem with that. To waste someone's time just absolutely kills me, because it's a waste of time and effort on that part. But I do thank you for coming forth and the meeting yesterday and enlightening me to a lot of the different things and the meetings that you're going to go have with some of the people out there to help them figure out what they need to do, or if it's something that the parish can do. So
It's my pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, so, Mr. Leverett, you have something on that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So as you can tell, this is definitely a long-term issue that we got to start pre-planning for to make sure we correct. In the meantime, me and the parish president are actively looking for solutions to clean these ditches now, right? We met on this today. It's been on our radar since we got into office 2 months ago, and we intend to move forward with looking for solutions. So again, this is a long-term problem we need to address, but in the meantime, we will find a solution to deal with in the meantime. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Leverett. Ms. Neal?
Yes, Councilwoman Chauvin, I neglected to add that the fastest way to get those things out of servitudes is with a public's cooperation. And so if it's just a matter of outreach and we can find citizens who are willing to cooperate, those things can be done pretty quickly. But those other items that I listed to you would be without the public's cooperation.
Thank you, Ms. Neal. Mr. Wazan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The logical answer from the public and, most people that probably work for a living, why we not just putting people in them ditches and cleaning them with hand tools and things of that nature? And of course, we all know the answer to that, right? It's costly, super costly, super time is money, right? And the hourly rates for those folks are pretty high, if I'm not mistaken. I would think, a short term could potentially be, reaching out to new contractors, maybe trying to get better pricing, could be a resolution. I know it's pretty difficult for us to use the inmate program nowadays because of the trustee program that they have in place. Maybe reaching out to outside parishes that maybe don't utilize that but have trustees for a smaller amount of money per hour or something like that could be an option, possibly. These are the things I try to share with the public because that's usually what they say to me, well, why y'all just don't put people in there and clean it? And just, I want to say it publicly so maybe more people can hear it. You don't want us to spend that amount of money. You don't want us to.
I agree, and we also have to keep in mind that we do have a labor shortage. We don't have the amount of employees that we once had, and to take them and put them on such a timely task is taken away from other work.
Yeah, and I'm glad we having a discussion on the long term. Definitely, that was part of it. But I think we're gonna come up with a short-term solution here pretty soon to get these things cleaned up. If we can get them cleaned up aesthetically to where they do drain freely like they're supposed to, you know, I think we could maybe afford that labor to maintain it going forward. You know, I think we could do that. We could put a program in place, and I think in the past, that's probably what was lacking.
Yes, sir.
It's just that general maintenance, and it just got out of hand, right?
Yes, sir.
And I could be wrong, but that's just my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Mr.
everything.
Wazan. Is that everything for now, sir? All right, Mr. Harding.
Good evening.
Evening.
We talk frequently, and I just want to address the issue we have actually covered for my folk that are listening. I've actually several times mentioned the lateral ditches in the Gibson area, and most certainly some of the problems that we have been having on the land. And hopefully, if they're watching, they will understand that it's a very difficult task that we have set forth amongst us. I have a background in drainage, of course, we know that. It's money, the assistance from the people, violators have to be handled, and to get the overall look at it, and even what Miss Bird mentioned, you know, man, there are certain factors, the pluses and minuses to that. It's the fact that I've seen Payne Street, I've seen that. I've seen ditches and everything that in that phase, you know. So when we're going forward, we want to actually consider that. And in reference to those violators, the last call, I won't say the area it was. The last call, when I actually made that call to you, no, the second to the last one, the one on the weekend, I noticed that it was a violator there. Somewhere in the system, they came in, they put a jar in. That jar actually stopped the flow of the water.
Yes, sir.
So something like that, if we send them, give them something, Miss Neal, if we can send them something and let it be on them, if they already in the wrong. We go out there, just put a excavator out there or something like that, at that cost, take it out of there. Shoot the grid on them, and because they're violating, because all those other businesses that we were talking about in that area,
yes, sir,
that's mosquitoes. So to look at it, everyone that's involved with it, the people, public service, government, we as council people, we have to be a part of this. So
yes, sir.
It's not one particular person's problem.
It's right. It is a collaborative effort, Mr. Harding, and I know you know that very well.
Yeah, so I just want to put my 5 cents in there.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Mr. Bergeron?
Yeah, I just want to commend David. We've had a lot of conversations since taking office for the last 2 months, just about, you know, what can we do based on the information I collected while running, and whether it's ditches, roads, trash, grass, all these hardworking directors and their knowledge. And every time we go have a conversation, they're always wanting to do what's best for our residents and for our parish. And so I just want to thank him and the other directors and commend them for all their hard work.
We agree. Thank you, sir. Mr. Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to thank Clayton Voisin for putting this agenda item on the agenda. And I appreciate all the remarks my fellow councilmen have made in regard to their own districts, you know, Kim and Danny and Carly and everybody else. Ditches, ditches, ditches. That's all I hear on the 311 corridor. We've had conversations about it. David's got a good handle on what's going on out there. Yeah, I can show you trouble spots throughout the area, you know, from Hollywood Road to Highway 90, that it's either the ditches are being maintained by the parish, or somebody comes out and sprays grass killer right before the rainy season, and then the water rushes through the ditches, and the ditches are eroding in some areas, and where people respected the 20-foot right-of-way, now the right-of-way is being eaten away on the other end by the ditch, because I can show you areas where when it's raining, short rain, where the current just goes down and you can watch the dirt fall into the ditch. I know one area where the owner had, when he moved there 8 or 9 years ago, he did 2 swipes in the right-of-way with his riding lawnmower. Now he can barely do 2 swipes with a push mower, and that's in the right-of-way. So that's an issue that goes it both ways with the right-of-way. But I appreciate, I just had to throw in that we too are experiencing all that in the district. So it is a parish-wide problem that I appreciate the fact that Jason and Noah have had talks about it, and I'm looking forward to your solutions that you bring to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamner. Mr. Champagne.
Yeah, I just have a quick question for, I guess, Candace can any of these issues be funded through the CDBG wastewater?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
have
So
we
that's
allocated any in there for this?
We have not. The plan is, we have to do the plan. The plan is to do the plan. So we have to do the wastewater or stormwater master plan first, and then identify these areas, which I'm sure the same areas that we're talking about are the ones that are gonna be identified. The CDBG, DR money, remember, we would have to determine which ones the beneficiaries are in the disadvantaged community and the low to moderate income. We did, however, have a meeting earlier this morning that there is possibly some other potential funding, not immediate, it's gonna be within the next 2 or 3 years. But one of the ideas that we had from that was the areas that the plan identifies that either don't meet the eligibility or we don't have enough funding for the implementation, we would try to get it for there. So that is part of the long-term plan that Parish President and Mr. Noah were talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Champagne. Ms. Malden. Ms. Chauvin.
I just had a couple quick questions. In some of the ditches that we have, can we use like netting to, like for the trash? I'm not talking, I know the mud is gonna go in it, but can we use like a certain type of netting, like fish netting, trawl netting, to where I could just go up there? I mean, I don't have a problem going pick it up, but I'm just kind of wondering if we can use that by the ditches to catch the trash so it's not going into the culverts and smash it down.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So, Mr. Badron and Mr. Lerat, for our Mardi Gras season, we started field testing some of those applications. We had varied results, but we're going to continue field testing and seeing about using that as an application parish-wide.
Okay, so just saying, I have a wealth of trawl nets that we can use. Got no problem doing
We
that.
definitely will talk.
Okay, and it'll cost you nothing. So, okay, so my next question is, and I'm not sure who can answer this. How quickly can we pull all the ones that are encroachment violators of servitudes? How can we put that together? How quickly can we put that together and then begin to act on it to where we can, we can begin really getting into the drainage issues?
So we are actively documenting where we have encroachment issues. So the answer is immediately. I mean, we have a pretty substantial list, and it's just been a few weeks that they've started actively documenting.
Okay. Okay, those were my things. I was just thinking about the netting though. I got you though.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Pleasure.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. And I'm going to echo everyone else's sentiments, Mr. Rome, for all the hard work that you do. It's much appreciated. And also, I'd like to share that I really do feel good about the fact that District 1 has a lot of something that no other district has. As Ms. Connie Berg puts it, it was Suelos, I think she calls it.
Kool-Aid,
there you go. The ditches with a concrete ditch, it's been the same. No washout or anything like that, but I got one problem.
You got to clean them.
There's trees growing in it, and I need it clean. And that flows from Van Avenue to the air base. And whoever's out there, you guys can go and see it for yourself, take a look at it. It's an engineering masterpiece for us here in South Louisiana. However, I'm understand that administration is discussing plans to see how they can help out as far as being able to bring that to other parts of the parish, but also at the same time, coming to District 1 and seeing it for yourself with that ditch over there that's designed like that, it'll be a good way to learn how to maintain that too as well. So if I can, I mean, it falls within the criteria Miss Candace mentioned a minute ago with the LMI and low to moderate income, all the other good stuff that qualifies you for that. I'd like to see, a little bit of help over there as well.
Absolutely.
On that stretch with that ditch.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
And Mr. Pledger, just to let you know, I was notified today that the telemetry for your pump stations are in and has been successfully tested, and they will be being installed shortly.
My man.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pledger. Mr. Harding?
Yeah, and to go with the block grant money that's going to be coming, one thing that was All South had made mention, we're looking at, and that was a particular scenario that we had to go through. We had a constant drainage problem, and water will go down much slower. We need bigger drain pipes. That's going to be going into the future. In some of these areas, we can't figure out when those roots go into these pipes and slows down the drainage. So that's a consideration too, because I know you only have one camera that you can, how many cameras you have that you can go?
We have one camera crew. There are multiple cameras, but only one crew that does that.
Yeah, right. So it's a small thing such as that. So going forward, it's a slow process. Money is not always the answer. It's something, it's the know-how.
Yes, sir.
It's the know-how and the patience that everybody can actually put forth. So I'm passionate about all areas. It's just the fact that one thing we can't get around, because it's around us.
Yes, sir.
Water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. And from the chair, I just want to commend administration for finding the money. They do a great job of getting very creative and finding money to do the different projects that we have in the parish, even looking long-term. Like Ms. Candace was talking about, that if this doesn't work, there's something coming down the pipeline that might be able to do. Mr. Rome, you and your staff take a lot of beating, but you also do a lot of good things. Mr. Sehan, I see Mr. Dryden here with pollution control. And I just want to know, are you getting phone calls at 3:30 in the morning still?
I am not.
I won't do it again.
Mr. Harding and I both know that we wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning every morning, so he knows he can call me early.
And I was going to say that the thing about it is he will answer his phone. We have several directors in the parish that, we get, some of us get up early for different reasons. I'm usually in the office for 6:15, and I see these guys out there doing it. So I just want to commend all our directors that are out there on the roads doing the things that they do. And there are no more questions, sir, so thank you for coming out. I thank everyone for the conversation. I thank those from the public for bringing some things to our attention as well. We try to do everything that we can and be everywhere, but we just can't do it. And we like for you guys, a lot of people think that calling us is bothering us, but it's actually helping us. If you see something and you post it on Facebook, tag us. I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook, but if you tag me and I get that notification, I'll go take a look at it. Mr. Voisin, you have one final thing?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just on the sewage, because that was part of the topic, I didn't know if Mr. Scotty might have wanted to come up and discuss what took place in Oakshire and some of the issues we have in Broadmoor and plans on correcting that.
Yep, that is part of the discussion. And thank you, Mr. Dryden, for being here.
Scotty Dryden, Operations Manager, offices at 2000 St. Louis Canal. So the issue that we had at Oakshire is we have our SCADA program where we can actually see the pumps and when they're on at our lift stations. Well, when we look at our SCADA, the pumps were going fine. We didn't have any issue. Both of them were running. I got a call from Mr. Voisin, and he indicated that they were having some issues flushing toilets and having some backup issues. Excuse me. So we went out there, we looked at it, we popped a few manholes, and we saw that it was definitely holding water. You know, it was coming out of some of the manholes. So couldn't figure out what the problem was because we looked on SCADA again. They were going fine. So we decided to go ahead and go to the lift station. Went to the lift station, only one pump was running. Because this is an older lift station, we didn't have it equipped for it to let us know that one of the breakers tripped. So one of the pumps wasn't running. So because of that call, we actually went there, figured out the problem. We didn't get any citizen calls, so we didn't know there was an issue. The only time we'd know it was an issue is if one of the pump mechanics actually went to the lift station. But it didn't happen to that point. So we went there, we got it running. We actually changed the breaker, and we're checking on it regularly to make sure we don't have issues. Of course, it's going to take another rain to make sure we have it exactly the way we want. And we are looking into some issues that are happening in Broadmoor. We're just trying to, it's very general right now. So it's basically all of Broadmoor. So we got to kind of narrow down to see where the problem is. I don't know if you wanted me to expand more than that or.
I'll just say thank you for that explanation. Really appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of people watching appreciate it as well. I think through our discussions, we've kind of discovered, or y'all discovered, and let me know that the amount of trees in Broadmoor could be a real factor in the sewage issue. Is that correct?
Not could be, is definitely a factor. So roots are going to sniff out water vapor. And especially when we're in the dry season, they're looking for water. So they're going to find any crack. And those pipes are old. Those roots have grown. And you've seen the roadways in Broadmoor. Most of that is due to the trees initially. And then eventually other things start breaking too. So we are doing some repairs there also of the roadway, especially on Funderburg. But we are looking into those things. On the SCADA side of things, we are actually today, I didn't get to go back and get an update, but we're on dial-up out of a lot of our lift stations, and we're going ahead and moving that to cellular. So it took a little while, but we're trying to get there. So we're going to cellular, so we'll have better communication. So hopefully we have less issues like we had in Oakshire.
And just to refresh my memory, is all the sewage in Broadmoor forced or pumped, or is some gravity and some's pumped?
Well, yeah, it's definitely a combination. It's gravity and it gets to the lift station and it's forced.
Okay. Just for the public, I just wanted to make sure they was aware that it was gravity, and then once it gets to that lift station, it's forced basically, right, at that point?
Yes, sir. It's a little more complicated than you would think. I've learned a lot over the last year and a half.
I'm learning too from you. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Wajda. Mr. Champagne?
Hey, hello, Mr. Dryden. I was wondering if you had any calls for the station that's on Gum Street, a sewer station on Gum Street recently.
We always have calls about Gum Street.
Okay.
It's a very big lift station, a very significant lift station, one that we're constantly working on and trying to update. We actually just got a new motor, and we're putting that in there. What was it? What are you?
Just the runoff of sewage and smell and things like that into the area.
Yeah, so sewage is not the most pleasant smell.
Right.
It is a large lift station. We do have a lot of gravity mains going into. We have a lot of lines going into that, so there's a lot of sewage going through that lift station before it gets to the plant.
Mm-hmm.
There's little things we try to do with like deodorizers and things like that to take the smell out, but it's a necessary evil.
Will the new motor help? You're hoping the new motor will help?
It's going to move more through there, so yeah, it should.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Champagne. Mr. Pleasure?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. Just for the viewing public, can you explain to them exactly SCADA, Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition System? I think that's what it's called.
Are you trying to challenge me now?
No.
All right, so I'm going to admit right off that I'm not one of the tech guys. Probably Jason would know more about it than I do. But what you basically what it's doing is it's giving us a connection and communication with all the lift stations, with the pumps, with the generators that we are placing out there. Pretty much all the moving parts in the lift station, and so we can look at it. It's kind of like telemetry for the for drainage. So it gives us a picture of what's going on without actually having to be there. So we can look at things on a screen and see where there's an issue, send somebody out there, or fix that, or remotely do something to fix it. So that's rough. I know that's pretty pathetic, but I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. No, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Pleasure. So just to help Scotty out, he was talking about old technology. Old technology, when it sends a signal, is what it's really saying is there's a command to run, but there's no proof of running. The new technology has CTs that are put in and it actually measures the amperage of the motor that's supposed to be running. So that's why we want to upgrade. And with a tech-savvy-minded parish president, we should be able to get some things done because he's already moving heaven and earth to bring this parish into this current century when it comes to technology, because it saves dollars. I mean, we don't have to have people running to all these stations looking at things to see if they're functioning the way that they're supposed to. The work I do, we do that sort of work as well as air conditioning systems, building management systems, and things like that. So probably me and Joy Sehan have a little bit better grasp on it because it's what we do. But again, that's all the questions we have. We appreciate you guys coming out tonight to answer those questions, putting yourselves in the hot seat. But that's why we pay you guys the big bucks. Thank you, Scotty.
Wait. What?
I told my wife that earlier, too. All right. Item 8, vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions. A, Recreation District Number 3A Board, 1 vacancy. Fire Protection District Number 8 Board, 1 expired term. Coteau Fire Protection District Board, 1 expired term. Terrebonne Parish Tree Board, 1 expired term. If any of the public are interested in being on any of these boards, you can contact the council clerk's office, and they will help you on filling out an application and submitting your resume for these boards. Announcements, Mr. Parish President? No announcements. Council members, Mr. Babin first.
Yes, I'd like to announce that not this Saturday, I should have the date in front of me, not this Saturday, but the next, the 23rd, there's going to be a Bay Grand Kayak cleanup. Ms. Janie Voisin is in charge of this every year, does a good job. So if you can come give us a hand, and I said Bay Deloge, I meant to say Bay Grand Kayak, okay? Did I? Okay. Bay Grand Kayak cleanup. It's at the old elementary school, which is Anchor Church right now, and people start showing up about 8 o'clock in the morning. Also on that same day, there's a Vietnam Appreciation Day at the Military Museum on Barra Street. This is the second year of it, and they like to show their appreciation to all of us that were military in the Vietnam era, and also that same night, the Haven at 7 o'clock. So there's a lot happening on the 23rd of March. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Mr. Harding.
Yes. On March 23rd, 2024, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., New Zion Baptist Church. It's going to be a program to be given, and basically it's uniting the community, bringing forth good relations between the judicial system, law enforcement, having concerns of the community in addressing mental health. And if you're not going to miss that one, of course, Mr. Babin has those 3 programs, and I support those programs that he's actually also promoting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Ms. Chauvin.
Sorry about that. Okay, so April 6th, mark your calendars. The Chauvin Bayou Bash cleanup and the East Houma Trash to Treasure cleanup will be happening. So we're calling on South Terrebonne, Ellender, LaCache, Oak Lawn, and Houma homeschoolers It's a challenge to be the change makers in our community. And it's calling all teams, clubs, and bands. There will be cash prizes. We will be measuring out, weighing out the garbage collected. We have an ultimate smackdown video that we're going to also put out there or have them come up with, and they can win cash prizes for that also. But check out my councilwoman page to keep updated. But we're wanting to make this really a big turnout so that we can get our kids civic-minded and even the adults civic-minded and get our district cleaned up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Hamner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 3 quick comments. First, I had the opportunity, along with Ms. Chauvin and Mr. Carly Harding, to attend the Relay for Life lip sync contest. I got to commend our parish president, did an excellent job putting time, effort, and money into that and emceeing the contest. It was a lot of fun. I can't wait to go back next year. But I was real proud that you are our parish president up there, giving all that time and effort. And I don't know what all legwork was done, but I personally am appreciative of it, having a sister that passed away from pancreatic cancer and having 3 brothers who are cancer survivors. Love you, man, for doing that. And maybe I'll help you next year with it, but I'm not going to lip sync. But Kim's husband wants to, you know. Second thing I want to say that March 21st is Retired Teachers Day. School board passed a resolution and the governor announcing it as Retired Teachers Day. I just wanted to put that out there for everybody. So if you see an old lady walking down the street that you taught, or an old man that taught you, tell them Happy Retired Teachers Day. The third thing I wanted to say is I had the opportunity to go to the District 2 LRTA meeting in Assumption Parish today. District 2 is one of the largest units of retired teachers in the state. And the executive director was there, and he announced finally that the state retired teachers convention, that's a pretty big event. It's not huge like you see, like a PJAL, but it's a pretty big event. Will be for the first time held in October here in Terrebonne Parish. So that's going to bring a lot of teachers, and they spend their money, retired teachers, into the parish. We signed a contract with the Marriott to do that this past week. So we're looking forward to that.
Thank you, Mr. Hamner. Mr. Champagne?
Yeah, I just want to announce that we're having the Bayou Community Foundation and also Terrebonne Parish is actually helping sponsor a behavioral health summit at the end of April, on April 30th. And it will get together a bunch of providers, state legislators, the Office of Behavioral Health, all together to talk about, you know, our opioid epidemic, behavioral health issues in the area. One of the things that we're doing is we're putting out surveys now, and Robbie will put out the surveys. It's going to go, there's 2 surveys going out, one to the community to discuss any barriers of getting treatment or issues getting treatment, whether it's, you know, financial, transportation, whatever, what have you. So if you see the surveys, please make sure that the community helps gather data so we can help people get help. And then the other survey will go out to providers to determine what they're seeing in the community and any issues that they're having helping people get help. So if you know of anyone, Robbie's going to put out the surveys. Please have people. The more information we get, the better we can help people. And that information will be disseminated at the summit. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Champagne. Mr. Pledger?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I just have a request, not so much an announcement. Just kind of be a voice for the folks that don't really have much of a voice. But Miss Williams, she was here earlier and she's left now. But she was requesting us to look into potentially helping out with the traffic, what have you, in front of South Terrebonne. That's not necessarily my district, but At the same time, our superintendent, he's left, but I'll call him after this for sure. And she also mentioned about signage or something like that. If Mr. Rome, if we got, if we can help him out with some signage, if that's in our wheelhouse, our signs or anything like that, let's try and help her out. Or actually, we're helping out the school itself. So, and I'll also be in contact with the sheriff's department since she works for them. But just want to put that out there, just help. We're going to try to help out anybody if we can when they come forth with problems. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Pleasure. President Bergeron.
I just want to follow up on what Kevin was talking about, that this is what we consider a step in a direction of addressing the homelessness issue in Terrebonne Parish. So, conversations around why people are homeless as it relates to drugs, as it relates to mental health. That's one thing that we really like about this summit is it's going to take some steps towards that.
Thank you, Mr. Bergeron. I have two announcements of public meetings that I need to read here. Notice is hereby given that at its meeting to be held on Tuesday, March 26, 2024, at 7 p.m. at its regular meeting place, the Coteau Fire District Administration Building, 2323 Coteau Road, Houma, Louisiana, the Board of Commissioners of Coteau Fire Protection District of the Parish of Terrebonne, State of Louisiana, plans to consider adopting a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in Coteau Fire Protection District of the Parish of Terrebonne, State of Louisiana, to authorize the renewal of an ad valorem tax therein. The second, its notice is hereby given that at its meeting to be held on Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. at its regular meeting place, the Fire Station, 2820 Savan Road, Houma, Louisiana, the Board of Commissioners of Fire Protection District Number 9 of the Parish of Terrebonne, State of Louisiana, plans to consider adopting a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in Fire Protection District Number 9 of the Parish of Terrebonne, State of Louisiana, to authorize the levy of an ad valorem tax therein. That completes announcements. Item 10, staff reports. Item A, pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42:16 through 17A2 and Revised Statute 42:19, the Terrebonne Parish Council may upon 2/3 affirmative vote convene into executive session in order to discuss the following: Layman Bolden Jr. versus number 189283A, Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government et al. 32nd Judicial District, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Moved by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Harding. Members, please make sure your vote registers as this is a 2/3 vote. Eight yeas, 0 nays. We're going into executive session. I have a list. Mr. Marceau, Mr. Jules Hebert, President Bergeron, Mr. Lerat, Ms. Malden, Mr. Page, Ms. Michelle Neal, Parish Attorney, and the council. Mr. Hebert, is there anybody else?
I think you covered everybody.
That was the list you sent, so I think we got it. The only one was Mr. Dana, but he's not here.
You got Ms. Malden?
Yes.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bourke, know your rights. South Louisiana Bank, it's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough. Alford and Associates, for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.